I voted to protect people with pre-existing conditions, to make sure insurance companies were forced to give them health care.
The reality is that we took the vote, and during the vote, Martha voted to repeal these protections.
7 different times I voted when I was in the United States Congress in favor of covering pre-existing illness.
The one mechanism that's been in place to protect that, he has been against, relentlessly attacked it from the beginning.
We can protect people, and we must, with pre-existing conditions, but they shouldn't be forced to pay the prices they are paying now.
His lawsuit is so reckless because there's no backup here. There's no backup plan for pre-existing conditions if he's successful.
Republicans are trying it. Across the country, as Democratic candidates run on protecting the remaining parts of the Affordable Care Act and people with pre-existing conditions, Republicans are responding by claiming that they, too, will protect your health care, while also suing to end pre-existing conditions coverage, threatening to kill the entire Affordable Care Act if they hold on to Congress, and now openly admitting that they plan to cut Social Security and Medicare and Medicaid to pay for the deficits they created with their massive tax cuts for the rich. Joining me now, David Cay Johnston, journalist and author of It's Even Worse Than You Think, and Bruce Bartlett, former Reagan policy advisor and author of The Truth Matters. Gentlemen, thank you for being here. And Bruce, I'm going to go to you first. I want to play a little mashup of Republican ads in which they claim that they will protect pre-existing conditions.
We must protect America's healthcare system. That's why I'm taking on both parties and fighting for those with pre-existing conditions.
I'm Josh Hawley. I support forcing insurance companies to cover all pre-existing conditions.
Covering pre-existing conditions is personal to me. Plus, it's just the right thing to do. As long as I'm governor, I will always cover pre-existing conditions.
I'll let both of you comment on it, but I'll start with you, Bruce. I mean, Josh Hawley, the second guy that you saw in that ad, his name is on a lawsuit attempting to end the Affordable Care Act's pre-existing conditions protection. Scott Walker could have taken the Medicaid expansion, refused. These people are on the record being against this stuff, but they're running ads saying they're for it. How can this be?
Well, they're shameless liars. I mean, they've been playing this game for quite a long time. I mean, year after year, the Republican Congress passes budgets saying we are going to slash Medicare, and then they run advertising saying that they're protecting Medicare and that it's actually the Democrats who are trying to cut Medicare. It's just out-and-out fabrication. It's lying, and unfortunately, it works.
Let me play for you, David Cay Johnston, the response Democratic ads trying to refute that complete lie that Republicans are telling.
Those who face cancer and many other illnesses have a pre-existing condition when it comes to health coverage. Unfortunately, Josh Hawley filed a lawsuit letting insurance companies deny coverage for those with pre-existing conditions.
Now the threat is Patrick Morrisey's lawsuit to take away health care from people with pre-existing conditions.
My mom lost her job, so she lost her health insurance and couldn't afford the premiums. And that's when she was diagnosed with stage 4 ovarian cancer.
I'm a mother of 2 with disabilities and a history of health problems.
David, you can look at a raft of polls. This one happens to be from Kaiser that shows that healthcare is the #1 issue to Americans in this election. Are Democrats' messages cutting through when they try to say, wait a second, we're the Obamacare party. The other party wants to get rid of it.
No, and the reason is the Democrats are playing defense instead of offense. You know, Bruce is exactly right. They're just lying through their teeth about this. But if that's the only message you hear, you'll believe it. Here's the fact Democrats ought to be out pushing. If we had universal health care, either the French or the German system, the amount of money it would save is the equivalent of eliminating income taxes for everyone who makes less than $500,000 a year. It would get health care off the backs of small businesses. And as somebody who's, you know, founded a small business, there was nothing more vexing than being deterred from trying to make profits, which we managed to do, to deal with health care. The Democrats, though, have got to stop playing defense and go on the offense here.
But Bruce, you a long time you were in the Republican Party game. Republicans will just simply say what David Cay Johnston said is socialism. Donald Trump is already out with this USA Today op-ed, which they ran, which was apparently, according to the Washington Post, literally every line contained a falsehood. But he's claiming that this idea of Medicare for all would actually end Medicare somehow.
Well, I suppose it might, in the sense that Medicare for all is different than Medicare. But I think it's important to keep in mind that we already spend a vast amount of money through government on health care. We spend more than almost any other country that has national health insurance. For what we're already spending, we could have a national health insurance system no worse than what they have in the United Kingdom. And they have better health outcomes than we do. Where we grossly overspend is on the private side of health care. And David is exactly right. The amount we spend that we could save by having universal health care is about the equivalent of what we pay in payroll taxes. You'd have that much additional money to spend on something else other than health.
Yeah, and I want to stay with you for just 1 second before I go back to David, Bruce, because the other thing that you're now seeing is an open admission by Mitch McConnell that they're coming after what they call entitlements, the things that all of us who get paid through a payroll check are paying into, Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid. They want to cut it to cover these huge deficits. Let's show the deficits, which have ballooned because of this tax cut. They passed a $1 trillion tax cut that gave most of the money to the top 1% and to the top 0.1% and to corporations. And now they're going to pay for it by making senior citizens pay for it. How can they get away with that?
Well, it's been a 40-year plan. It's called Starve the Beast. And it's been going on for a very long time. When Republicans figured out, because of Proposition 13, that the way to cut spending is to cut taxes first. And House Speaker Paul Ryan and others have talked about how they've been dreaming about privatizing Social Security and Medicare since they were in college. These are long-term plans, and they're finally coming to fruition. And the only thing Republicans are waiting for is for Democrats to buy in and be part of the grand bargain, the bipartisan deal that, in my opinion, will probably lead eventually to a two-tier system. The existing system for older people, a much stripped-down, lesser system for younger people. And in a way, it's their own fault because they don't vote. Old people like myself do vote, and that's the inevitable political result.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think we are out of time. But very quickly, David Cay Johnston, would Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid survive as private systems?
No, not at all. And the entire reason the budget deficit is larger is the $200 billion of taxes we are not collecting because of the Trump GOP tax bill. Medicare and Social Security are going up at 2 to 4% a year. Our deficit is up 17%. So Mitch McConnell is lying too.
Yeah, the rich people got the money in. Y'all out there getting the bill. You're welcome. David Cay Johnston and Bruce Bartlett, thank you both for your time.